But you never know that you could. And when you feel that way, ain't it good, good dancing in the red and gold. Dancing in the red and gold.
What's up, faithful? Welcome to the 49er Faithful UK show. After some initial confusion on what day we'd be recording this week's pod, we decided to further muddy the waters by doing the show live. As this is technically the pod and not the live show, we don't have a set topic or any special guests other than the awesome foursome, but we will be having a chat about last weekend's NFL Wildcard games, the 49ers possibly coming to London/Germany in 2025, and all things 49ers and much, much more. Joining me, as always, is Lee, the Grand Champion Gowland.
No.
And don't you forget it. Don't you forget it.
Why do you do this?
Yeah.
Your
I could have
host,
just forgotten it.
well, give him his props. Your host, Gareth Ellis. Thanks for joining us, Gareth.
Yeah, I'm my host. This can't be true on the live.
And last but not least, Nadji. I still love Justin Herbert. Kara.
I do. Sue me. I don't care. I love him. Hello, everyone. I know. Let's talk Chargers. Clearly that's the first topic, isn't it?
Well, it's start with Herbie. I as I said, I want to see if you're still talking to me when I called him the most overrated player in the entire league, which I stand by and would have said before that game anyway.
There's no denying that he had a shocker. That was probably the worst game he's ever played in the NFL, I would imagine. Even though I'd say one pick's definitely not his fault. Maybe another one. I don't know. 4 picks too many.
To be fair, his offensive line didn't help him out at all.
No offensive line. No wide receiver either. He's throwing to Lad McConkey, who was a rookie, so difficult. But yeah, no, he's going to need to win a big game at some point in the NFL, not just a Rose Bowl to prove it. But, you don't go through an entire NFL season playing in the AFC West. Again, the Broncos defense was on fire, right? And he threw 3 picks this season in 17 games. That's pretty impressive. I still think he's good. I just think it's his 4th year. It'll be there.
So for those people who are listening to the pod, Paul Scrimshaw, friend of the show, he's dropped the Brock Purdy over Justin Herbert. And I was saying to Nadji, Lee, before we went live, our good friend Larry Kruger, appreciate the love, Larry, the other day, he's just shared a rather interesting post, which I've reshared to Instagram, which is saying that Justin Herbert is earning $52.4 million.
Yeah.
Why on earth would Brock Purdy take a penny less? Now, we are jesting with Nadji. It's well documented your love for Justin Herbert, Nadji. But I think what all us Niners fans are thinking is we've had a down year, but you get to the playoffs and you see some of these quarterbacks that might have a better reputation. Is it fair to say? Not performing so well? What do you reckon, Gareth?
Definitely. We've been hearing it all week about we let Sam Darnold walk and kept Purdy. Does that look like a bad call right now? It's that reputation side. Herbert. I'm not saying Herbert is a bad quarterback. I'm just saying he's often put in this kind of elite tier, which I don't think he's earned, because I don't think he's not won anything. And I hate to correct you, Nadji, he wasn't throwing to Lag McConkey. He was throwing to the Houston Texans from what I saw on the highlights. But anyway, I'll get aside. I'm not going to slate him. I don't think he's bad. But because he was taken early in the draft, because he's a big strapping lad who looks like a quarterback, he'll always have this reputation of being good. And like I said, he's the next Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott. He's blonde Sam Darnold.
Yeah, he also entered the league at a time where there was a ton of extremely talented quarterback, and there's not that many that panned out apart from him and Stroud, maybe. You know, so the vast majority of that 2-3 year period of draft, it's just him and another one, and they're playing consistently good level. And I agree.
Didn't Herbert come through with Joe Burrows?
This is about his 6th year because he's on his big contract, isn't he? So he's completed his rookie contract.
I think he came through the same draft as Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah.
What's interesting, chaps? So watching the Wildcard games this weekend, Tracy kept reminding me, the 49ers aren't playing, Paul. You said this was stress-free football, and I was guilty as most. I fully got into the games. I was shouting about the referee decisions. I was celebrating touchdowns. But I have a colleague at work who got into the NFL 2 years ago. He picked the Chargers. I think he knows you, Nadji. He kind of disappeared last year, and this year he was all up for the hype, got into the playoffs. He came to see me today, and he went, well, that was truly awful. And then he walked away. That's all he said. So
yeah, I mean, I've got to agree with him because the Chargers game was the only one that I failed to predict correctly, and it wasn't so much just.
It's always got to come back to that. It's always got to come back to that.
I think it was more Jim Harbaugh let us down because I just had high hopes for him as far as the playoffs were concerned.
I was going to say,
it just didn't pan out that way.
I was going to say it's pretty mad that Jim Harbaugh doesn't have that reputation of blowing big games because it's not the first time that it doesn't win a game and forces things on fourth down when he shouldn't have and tries 4th and 1 passes that to a wide receiver that's not very good.
Well, I mean, that sounds like Greg Roman.
And Greg Roman.
Down to a T.
It's just crazy, though. Greg Roman is a very good in-season coordinator. As soon as he gets to the playoff, it's just terrible. And he's been doing that for years. Every time he goes somewhere, he gets Lamar, the MVP, and then in the playoffs, just blow up. That's crazy. Yeah, it's I think it just proves how hard it is to win playoff game and football game, and how good we had it the past few years. And it's we weren't that far away. Like we kind of beat the Rams until we beat ourselves. So. Look at them. So I think it's a good example of what this sport is so amazing because it's very, very difficult to be consistently good all the time and produce 18 game, 19 game, 20 game. It's interesting. It's good. I will say this wildcard weekend it's usually mad, and I thought it was a bit meh.
Poor. I'm glad you thought that, Nadji, because I thought exactly the same. So I watched 5 of the 6 games. The only one I didn't get to watch was the Vikings-Rams game. And I thought the Chargers-Texans ran the Commanders-Bucks very close for the most entertaining game of the weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Bucks Commanders, that was entertaining because it went all the way down the wire. Whereas the Chargers-Texans, it seemed like every time somebody snapped the ball, there was a turnover. And that's what made that one exciting. But yeah, I thought the quality of the football on show wasn't what you'd expect from the playoffs.
No.
You always get those teams who leap in who limp in as the wild cards, and they're beaten up, and they've gone about as far as they can go, and it's a bit like the Broncos. You
mean like the Vikings?
Like the Vikings, but certainly for the Broncos, you can think. They've had a successful season. They made the playoffs out of their division. Where they are in their rebuild, that's good. I'm not saying they rest on their laurels, but they run out of juice. I think the same with the Vikings, or the Vikings just got found out, or it's just will the real Sam Darnold please stand up?
To be fair, I'm going to hate myself for saying this, but the Rams have come into the playoff as one of the hot teams. They've hit form at the right time, especially on defense. So it didn't surprise me at all that they beat the Vikings. And I've been saying this all season. When you watch Sam Darnold play, when you watch him play against us, he could have threw 3 interceptions. He was lucky he didn't. And he's been like that all season long. He seems to have had quite a bit of luck where he hasn't been picked off on some throws that were ill-advised to throw. And now he's come up against a team who are a hot team, the Rams, then he's been found out. And I think it's true for what I always say. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. The Rams have come into this on good form. And it shows. And I'm even worried about them going into Philadelphia now.
Yeah.
How is your brother Lee?
So I haven't mentioned the Vikings going out yet.
Oh well, I hope he's all right. Give him a hug.
Well,
I won't.
Our good friend Andy Norton, who's the Lions fan, he's been sending me lots of gifts about the Vikings because obviously divisional rival. So he's taking great delight, especially with the
Packers.
Dan Campbell saying, "See you in 2 weeks." Like Lee, seeing the Rams get through. I've got a few Rams fans on my timeline, which I was kind of a little bit frustrated with. And now I'm faced with the impossible task of picking a winner in the Eagles-Rams because I don't want to see either of them win. But going back to what you said, Lee, I didn't think the Chargers-Texans disappointed me in regards to, I thought it was a close battle and I enjoyed watching the game and it was stress-free. And to back up Najee, we've all had a bit of fun this weekend, Najee, with your love for Justin Herbert. He threw 3 interceptions in 27 attempts on Saturday, but he'd only thrown 3 in 504 attempts during the regular season. So, Najee's my go-to for college football. He reliably tells me that Justin Herbert was lights out in college. Lee always disagrees because that's Stanford. But you've just slipped in there, Najee. Bo Nix. Is this the new man crush? Is this the breaking news on Wednesday night?
He's kind of from Auburn rather than he was transferred to Oregon for a year, so it doesn't really have the attachment that Herbert has. Herbert was born in Eugene, which is where Oregon plays, and wanted to go there. It's a really cool story if you want to go and check it out. I think his dad played QB and he wanted to be. Anyway, it's a cool character thing. What happened in Oregon, and obviously his NFL career is different. But yeah. But yeah, Minnesota was the Seahawks from last year, right? And Darnold is the new Geno. It was bound to happen. You don't be a backup in this league for 5-6 years and get benched, and then all of a sudden you're good again. That just doesn't happen. Yeah, you'll have one good season because people forgot about you, and somehow you have nothing to lose. And then, but just look at Geno; he's barely average. It's the same.
Or you get found out, don't you? Suddenly, if your offensive line isn't up to it, and you've got a good defense who's done their homework on you, and they sort of take away everything. It's almost like having a rookie year again, isn't it? When he's been out of the league for a while and then comes back and is rejuvenated and is better, and then it just takes people a little bit of a while to work out. Yes, all those weaknesses, they are still there.
Yeah,
you've just got to pop them open, haven't you?
Oh, go on. Is that new hat you got? Oh, that is nice.
Kinda. It was a pre-Christmas purchase, Najee. It was a Black Friday bargain from a store that I'll share the link. But yeah, me and Lee had been communicating, and I think we were both like, "Shall we buy the hat? Shall we not buy the hat?" But we digress, as we always do. What I wanted to ask you guys is Wildcard game. Lee said he watched 5 of the 6. I watched as much of the games as possible, then the highlights afterwards. Which was your favourite game? I'm going to go to you first, Gareth. Out of all the games, you might have only watched the highlights. Which one springs to mind?
The only game I had on was Bills Broncos. I think because of the time on Sunday, I kind of was doing other bits and kind of had it on. I think I was like everyone else, and that relief of I can enjoy the playoffs. But the games weren't that good, and I didn't really care really about who won or lost any. So I'm going to dodge the question. I didn't really care about any of them, and I don't think any of them were particularly good games.
I will ask you,
but the divisional will be different.
Gareth Ellis, if you watched that game, was it a catch? Yes or no? Because that was the hot topic of Discord on Sunday night. Lee smiling in the
Bills.
Yeah, when Josh Allen threw that one to the end zone, Coleman slid down.
Well, I agree, because you always want to see that called as a touchdown, so it automatically gets reviewed, and then there's not enough to overturn it. Because I would always like to see the benefit of the doubt go to getting the points. I think it makes the game better than the benefit of the doubt saying nothing is a touchdown, and then it doesn't get reviewed, and it happens. You get one, you're lucky. I think the Bills had a bit of luck in that game. I think that it didn't quite fall for the Broncos. It could have been a better game, but it wasn't. But there we go. I think the Broncos will be happy with their season, and hopefully the Bills will keep their fingers crossed they haven't burnt through all their luck before the next 2 games they've got. So I'm happy to see those taken as a catch. But again, if I was a Broncos fan, I might feel differently. But
yeah.
What about you, Najee? Was it a catch?
Well,
he caught it. I mean, was it a touchdown? Obviously, he caught the ball.
I thought it wasn't. Ultimately, it didn't matter because the score was, 7. It wasn't even 7 points. But I don't know. I think his foot touched out of bounds, and I'm not sure he had the ball control fully at one point. Like if you stop it, they never stopped the video where like his foot touches the ground, and you want to see if the ball is in control or not. It was very, very close, and they were never going to reverse it. I don't think it was a catch, but again,
if you're the receiver, it's a touchdown. If you're the DB,
Oh, yeah.
you're like,
Sure,
no
DB,
chance. Come on then, Lee. I know you were very vocal about this on Sunday in Discord.
So I completely agree with Najee there. I didn't think he maintained control through the whole process. And when his foot was out of bounds, I thought the ball was still moving. And that's why I didn't think it was a catch. I thought it was a subtle movement, but it was definitely an unnatural movement for the ball from his hands, which is why I thought it was not a catch. But like you said, I mean, I think had it not been ruled a catch on the field and they went to review it, it wouldn't have been a catch. The call would have stood.
Yeah.
And because it was ruled a catch, I don't think there was enough there to overrule it. But my good feeling was the ball was still moving as his foot touched out of bounds.
So while you've got the mic, Lee, which game did you enjoy the most of the weekend?
Commanders Bucks, because it was the most competitive. I think we all said it last week. We all expected that one to be a very close game. None of us could predict either way which way it would go. And to finish on a dunk field goal, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. So that was by far the most entertaining one because it kept you engrossed. I mean, the Chargers-Texans did. It wasn't the game that disappointed us. It's the Chargers just getting beat that disappointed me. But the fact there was so many turnovers, you were thinking, what on earth is going on in this game? How are either of these teams in the playoffs? Because ball security was terrible. The Steelers-Ravens, the Steelers didn't really put up much of a fight. I expected it to be a bit more than that. And to be honest, I mean,
divisional.
Yeah, even though the Ravens put 28 points on them, I still don't think they look that good, if I'm honest. I expected them to look like the number one team in the AFC, which apparently they are. They are the favoured team in the AFC.
I think they've gone out of gear, though.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
And we'll get on about that later because it's going to be interesting on Sunday.
It's high.
The Bills-Broncos, the Bills just completely dominated the Broncos from start to finish. And they actually looked okay on defence. So I think defence has been their weakness all season. And it looked like a complete team when they played against the Broncos. But again, they were playing against the Broncos. So
Good D, though. Good defence, yeah.
Yeah, they did. Eagles-Packers. I was disappointed in the Eagles' offence. I thought they'd put up more than 22 points on the Packers. Given the fact that the Packers shipped 24 points to the Bears in the last game of the season.
I think Jordan Love was hurt pretty bad, I reckon. They didn't say anything, but I reckon
I just think he can't handle the big game. I mean, he disintegrated last year against us. He's done it again, and he's got a huge contract. So going back to what Larry Kruger had said about Justin Herbert, just look at Jordan Love. He's got a huge contract, and I don't think he's earned
50,
that.
Right? 50, 55?
I mean, to be fair, Lee,
something like that.
When Jordan Love took over from Rodgers, the Packers fans hoped he would be as good as Rodgers. And he's just doing what Rodgers does in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Get a little dig in there.
Yeah. There's no drop-off, is there, in the Packers playoff success?
I think they suffered missing Christian Watson a lot. Obviously, losing that. And then, in Philly as well, it's a tough place to play in. But, that's what the Eagles do. They just beat teams with injured quarterbacks.
So I thought the Eagles on defense look really, really good.
Yeah, defense wins championships, and that's what we see with the Eagles.
Very annoying.
Yeah.
And
they
Barkley
shut down anyone.
Instead of going through for the touchdown team player. I mean, I watched the Hard Knocks, the Giants version, and when the owner's like, I'll lose sleep if he goes to the Eagles. And I'm thinking, as a fan base, what do you think? Seeing him go there. But Nadia, you didn't answer the question. What was your favourite game of the weekend?
Yeah, it was Bucks Commanders. Just, I like Baker. I know he's a controversial figure, but I like him. I like his fight. And I like Jaden Daniels. I think kind of like underdog, the best rookie QB this year. So, yeah, it was a good game. And, the Commanders is basically us, since they stole most of our personnel and everybody that's gone there. Who's gone there? I can't remember now. I know we lost.
So what moment did you enjoy best? Baker, Trucken, Wagner, or an ex-49ers kicker kicking the field goal in the last second in the doink. Because you mentioned that, I think, Nadji, on Discord. You were like, oh, just an ex-Niners kicker making a field goal.
Yeah. It's just love a doink, though. Yeah, I enjoy the doink. No, I'm happy for the Commanders to finally be relevant as well. Like, it's like everybody likes the Lions because they've been so bad for so long, but the Commanders have been pretty bad for a while as well. So it's nice to see that they're kind of turning it over, and they can hopefully destroy the Eagles and the Cowboys next year.
So the Bears fans are crying because obviously they picked Williams and Daniels has been better. And since that infamous moment where the Bears defender was taunting the home fans and the Hail Mary, the Commanders season from that moment has just got better. I do enjoy watching the Commanders. I must admit that was the game I enjoyed the most. But I think the moment Tracy enjoyed the least was when the Bills threw that touchdown that we talked about. That was the moment where I was like, it's a catch. And I was shouting at the telly, and then I was arguing with my phone. I was going, what are you talking about, Lee? Tracy was like, are you talking to Lee? I was like, well, via messenger, Tracy, not actually in person. She was like, you boys in football. Because I think she thought, Nadji, she was in for a quiet weekend because the Niners weren't playing.
It's playoff football.
It's playoff football, and we've got to be watching.
If we could just make just a quick break. Red Shell just posted something about all the people in Los Angeles. Obviously, our thoughts are with everyone that's struggling and having issues because of that. Yeah, hopefully everybody is, if we know anyone, even if we don't, stay safe out there, and hopefully it gets resolved soon. It's not cool to see.
Yeah, I had seen that in the chat, and like you said, Nadji, it's kind of been on this side of the pond. You see something like that, and your thoughts go to everybody, and seeing the videos come out and the story. So, yeah, Red Jet, our thoughts, as Nadji said, are with everybody. So, Gareth, where shall we go next? Where do you reckon? We've got no structure. It's not a live, it's a pod. We keep telling everyone.
Well, there's I suppose some other stuff that's happened this week. I'm sure we've all heard the tragic news that the Cowboys have moved on from McCarthy. So there is that. I suppose that was I don't know. Dion, what do we think of Dion at the Cowboys?
I heard
Dion and Joey. That's
amazing.
That is going to be hard knocks. The NFL
100%,
cannot
100%.
avoid that.
Yeah, you can, because he's first year coach. So first year coaches, they get to veto hard knocks.
He isn't vetoing that, is he?
He'll
be like, bring the
Prime is going to veto the chance.
Good point. But he does have the option to veto it.
They do. Yeah, Sherm talked about it. Uncle Sherm talked about it, and it's the only thing that made sense as well, because they denied McCarthy to interview for the Bears job, and to be fair, why would he go there? He coached the Packers for a long time. Like, why would you coach that doesn't make sense to me. But anyway,
business.
No, it is business. I know. But they denied him and then fired him, which means.
Yeah, it was
they must have
strange
struck
move.
a deal. So
well,
it's
they
weird,
didn't really
right?
Fire him. They just didn't renew him.
Yeah.
Or he walked away from.
Or maybe he walked away. Yeah.
Well, that's what I read. That Jerry Jones was surprised he walked away.
Yeah, it was a strange one, because my friend Chris, he messaged me when the Cowboys refused that interview. And he was like, oh, for God's sake, we're going to be stuck with McCarthy. And as Ty Olsen says in the chat there, chaps, I mean, I was gutted when the news broke, because he was great for us. And like you said, Nadji, Jerry Jones denied Cooper Rush that bonus. And it's little things like this that just goes to show you, as a franchise, behind the scenes, is that something you want to get involved in? But as Ty said there, Dion's all about the TV. Though, where are Dallas in the draft picks? Because if Deion Sanders does get that job...
he'll draft it.
100%
100% draft Shadar. 100%. He'll take his son and ship that out of town.
Well, there's $100 million dead cap to get to dump back. So Jerry's not going to like 100 million dead money on his
unless he trades up and gets Hunter, which is possible too.
I think it's still there because of the prorating his signing bonus and all that. It's if you trade him, I still think that 100 million is there, and that's going to be tough to swallow.
Yeah,
even for Prime. But
what I love about the changing of the NFL, it's the off season for us. So I'd seen a couple of days ago that the Raiders were going to be all in on Dion, and the Raiders going to have to trade up to get that quarterback. And a couple of days later, Gareth, we're back to the Cowboys, and I mean, it's just crazy. What do you reckon, Lee?
Well, I wouldn't put it past Jerry Jones giving the job to Robert Saleh.
Yeah, I've heard
Because
he's got an
apparently
interview.
they've requested an interview. Well, he hasn't got an interview yet. They've requested an interview. So they've obviously gone through Robert Saleh's agent, if coaches have agents, because that's how it's been reported. It's been requested. There's nothing scheduled at the moment. The only interview that Saleh's got scheduled now is tomorrow with the Raiders. So he did the interview with the Jags yesterday, and now he's got the Raiders to interview with, and then the Cowboys have asked to interview him. But yeah, I mean, it would be such a Jerry Jones thing to do, because he did this back in the late 80s, early 90s. He basically copied off the 49ers, which is where you get the Tale of Two Cities on NFL networks from. And he'll more than likely do it again. He'll think, look, there's a really good coach from the 49ers. Let's bring him in and let's try and replicate what the 49ers have done over the last 4 seasons.
Will Saleh want another difficult owner?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think that's...
There's also...
It is a poison chalice going to the Cowboys.
Oh, well, yeah.
And the Jags, as was the Jags.
Yeah.
So the
Raiders
owner of the Jags
may
isn't
not be
too
better,
bad.
do
It's
they?
just the fact that Trent Baalke's there.
Yeah.
Well,
He's been
okay,
there
fair
for
enough. It's
12 months.
which is it's all linked, isn't it? So
But there is a rule where teams have to interview 2 coaches from
That's
minorities.
right.
Yeah.
So it could just be 4 quarters. And
Could be.
Could be. So
I mean, talking of rules, before we move off, I've just seen there, Nadji, that apparently the Bears have flew in McCarthy for an interview. I've just flashed up on my iPad. But look at us last week, all giddy, because the Niners had a new offensive coordinator. And then the NFL went, actually, fellas. So what do we make of the interviews that have happened this week? Do we reckon we're going to get any surprising news from Santa Clara?
No. This is just red tape, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah,
But it wouldn't surprise me if we get fined for that, by the way, or if we lose like a 6th round or something. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, we're very good at doing that. We got fined and lost something for something silly last year. Was it? Or the
Yeah, I
year
think that was a
before?
7th round pick.
7th round pick. Yeah. Do we do
yeah.
something
We didn't.
about the press?
It was a payments thing, wasn't it? A payment to
Oh, like a payment. Yeah, it was
a player that we lost off a spreadsheet or something like that.
yeah.
Remember, and then
Yeah.
and that was a bit steep, wasn't it? It was like, well, it was an accounting error. It wasn't a.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
It's
gone.
a shame
The,
that person wasn't in charge of the Predictor League spreadsheet, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole just at the moment. But I've just seen as well a headline. So we talk about badly run franchises. Apparently, the Jets made a final desperate move to recruit Mike Vrabel before the Patriots hire. So again, everybody knew he was going to the Patriots. And then you think the Jets just do what the Jets do. Oh, we need a head coach. You'll do. And he's like, yeah, sign the deal, lads. I'm going over there. It's like
he was never not. I think that's probably why he set out, and I do wonder if that was.
Yeah, I've got to say, I think that's a cracking coaching hire from the Pats.
Yeah.
I think he's
There
going to
you
fit
go.
in straight away from day one.
Ty knows everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he does. Well, we've got good friends of the show. So, Nadji, we're
Yeah.
halfway through roughly. We're not doing the advert 'cause it's not the live, but do we have the predictor wheel, or are we saving that for the good people? For those people who are listening,
Well, before we go on the predictor wheel, I mean, there's one more thing I want to talk about because we're talking about coaching. So Dennis Allen has suddenly popped up as potentially a favourite for the DC role if we can't get Robert Saleh back. And to be honest, I think that would be quite a good hire.
Yeah, Saints
he's-
always
yeah.
had a good defense.
He's got a lot of experience. He's been head coach for both the Saints and the Raiders. He's been defensive coordinator for the Saints. He was secondary coach twice. He's been a senior defensive assistant, an assistant defensive line coach, and a defensive quality control coordinator. So he's got an absolute bagload of experience, and I think that would be a cracking hire to bring him in as DC if we can't get Robert Saleh.
Sounds very much like Steve Wilkes.
It kind of helps that it does look a little bit like Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
We've got our Spagnuolo clone.
well, to be honest with you, Lee, I was going to kind of do the wheel of positivity, but there's a couple of I mean, coaching discussions for us. We interviewed some people for the vacant special teams coordinator position. That was obviously a hot topic last year. And it looks like the team have done what people have asked us to do, Nadji. They've looked at the top 10 teams on special teams and thought, right, what are you doing? And then we've had interviews from people in that category, which fills me with confidence. What do you reckon, chaps? Yeah. Is that a good strategy for the team to do?
It's the only strategy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like, they could, even if I went, I would do something better. It's been that bad. If you can't really go wrong. Yeah.
Well, just think, if Chris Tabor gets the job, we'll have a Chris Tabor Pepper special teams. You know, there you go. There's a tongue twister if ever I've heard one.
That's true.
Lee does not look impressed. Sorry, Lee. You know.
Classic.
So the Predictor League. I saw you know, me and Nadji did okay, and I thought you weren't bothering to play Lee or Paul, but then I scrolled down and down and down and down, and there you were.
Me and Nadji have exactly the same points.
I'm pretty sure I did all right as well, Gareth. I wasn't a million miles away.
I think both me and Nadji's on 10
I thought
points.
you're both on 10, yeah, which puts you pretty much near the bottom.
Yeah, 10's
How many
not
points
great.
did you get, Gareth?
14.
All right, well done.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be very small,
No,
but
I'm milking this because it won't last long.
I mean, I do have to predict better, Gareth. You are correct. I mean, I don't have any hardware in the cupboard. Oh, wait, what?
Who is that? Who is that at the top, by the way?
Who's there at the top with 21 points? That seems like.
Can you zoom into that? Because I
can
doubt
try.
anybody can see that.
I know no one can see this. I would have to. I'll have to save it.
So to be honest, if you
at the top,
you're presenting the window, then right, yeah, you'd have to save it, open it up as just a graphic file.
So for those people listening, Kevin Williams, who made his first appearance on the live show last week and has control of the spreadsheet, is top of the league with 21 points.
Completely.
Now,
I'm a bit dubious about those two score lines, of course. I think Kev should have to advertise what his score is before the weekend.
So
Gareth, he has control of the spreadsheet.
What score did you say you had? 14 points, Gareth?
I think so. I think 14, yeah.
I mean, I only have 12, so you're right. I must do
I scrolled down a bit and then I saw you, and then
but,
I just have to keep going.
Do you want to share this? It should be a bit bigger. Share my screen. There we go. There we go. What's that name at the top? 21. That's not. Yeah, Gareth Ellis here with 14. Very good.
There is a big chunk of us on 14, so I could be technically a lot further down. I mean, that's not even alphabetical. I mean, who's in charge of this?
Leading champ Anthony Folger. Yeah.
I think it was the Packers game that screwed me over. I was quite close on the Ravens Steelers, but the Packers game, I can't remember what I put in now, but I know I didn't get many points on that. Let's have a look.
There we are. That's the whole table for people that follow. And I mean, there's still 2 games
to play for,
4 games, still 5 games to predict.
5 games. Yeah,
that's a lot of.
So
there's
Anthony
definitely.
Folger has picked up on Lee's comments there, chaps. Red flag. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of cheating, Kev. But Lee Gowland's very precious when it comes to handing over control.
I just think everything should be transparent.
Hey, I tell you what, Kev signed up to help the admin with the Discord, comes on the show for the first time, gives up his time, and then he's definitely going to be thinking, right, chaps, I'm just not even playing this week. I'll just sing to the pod.
No.
All right, should we pick the games?
Yeah, go on then, get the wheel.
Yeah.
Dust it off.
So for those people listening, we are going to do the wheel, yeah.
We haven't seen it, mate.
Are we doing AFC first, yeah?
Yes. So.
Don't care.
Let's go for it.
Oh.
No.
Yeah,
the other one is
harder.
This one might be easier. Okay.
Do you think?
I don't know. I think they're both hard to predict, to be fair.
So I'll explain why I think it's going to be a hard game to predict once we get onto the preview.
So for those people who are listening and not watching on YouTube, the Wheel of Positivity has just selected the Texans versus the Chiefs for the AFC match. And now we're heading back to Nadji for the NFC matchups.
NFC matchups.
It's going to be worst possible thing, isn't it? Oh, no.
Oh, it's Commanders Lions. There we go.
There we go.
That's much better. To be fair, I did not want to touch.
No. So we've got the Commanders Lions.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that one.
So there we go.
Commanders Lions.
Kev, if you're listening to this later or watching, I'll tell you anyway on this call at some point. But Chiefs Texans, Commanders Lions is the one we're going for, gents.
Yeah. And on the bright side, one of the Rams or Eagles is definitely getting knocked out this weekend.
That's very true.
So look at it that way. I know there's another side to that, but think of it that way.
So it's going to be an interesting weekend of football.
Yeah.
So the Texans Chiefs game, that's due to be -7 when they kick off, but there's no chance of snow in that game. The Commanders Lions, obviously, it's in a dome, so they don't have to worry about snow. But the outside temperature is going to be -6, and the Rams. For anybody over in the US listening, this is in centigrade, not Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
no idea how to do the maths to change that. The Rams Eagles game, it's going to be 1 degree, but there's quite a good chance of snow during the game.
Nice.
So that's interesting. And the Ravens Bills, it's snowing tomorrow, Friday. I don't think it's snowing Saturday, but then it's due to snow again Sunday, and it's going to be -8 at kickoff.
So the Ravens going to the Bills.
And snow. The Ravens are at the Bills.
At the Bills, yeah. So that was the game that I've seen a lot of people excited about. But my worry, chaps, is it's going to be 2 heavyweights, and whoever progresses, Kansas City might just be waiting. I'm not saying the Texans are an easy team, but I'm just a little bit nervous that it's just set up for the Chiefs to get there again. And
it is. But that's the number 1 seed for you. Yeah. It means you don't have to beat generally two good teams. You're going to get the worst of whoever gets through Wildcard weekend, and the others have to fight it out. So
19. How can a number 19 is a pretty big number? How can that be called? That makes no sense. Fahrenheit makes no sense.
Nadji, you got to remember when we went to the gold mine game and those young assistants were stood shivering, saying that they wanted to come to Europe, and we were on our t-shirts like, this is warm if you're going to come to Europe at this time of the year. So, I mean, as we said, we can't do the math. It's just going to be cold. We all know it's going to be cold.
Yeah, it's going to be cold. So, if I do the math right, the Rams could hold a national at the NFC Championship if they win, and the Commanders win.
And the Commanders, yeah.
Then it'd be a
Rams,
fight.
Commanders,
It'd be Rams,
whoever. If the Lions are knocked out, the Commanders will go to whoever's left.
Yeah,
so
Commanders were 7th seed, I think, weren't they? So they're not getting a home game at any point.
I was going to say to you, chaps, would you rather the Rams lost this one or beat the Eagles and then lost in the NFC Championship game? Because I don't want to see the Rams.
Yeah, I think that would be more fun if they get destroyed by whoever next round. I think that would be more fun for us. But at this point.
Right, I've just got something on the screen here because I've just been sat wondering which countries in the world use Fahrenheit.
Just America.
Why don't you use centigrade? No. So there is some other countries. So I'm going to put this map on the screen, and every country in blue are the ones that use Fahrenheit as a temperature gauge. Everybody else in orange, they use centigrade.
It's just the US.
No, there's a little bit blue there.
Yeah.
What is this?
In West Africa.
Oh my god.
So
is that Ecuador or something? It's just like,
hang on. I've got the countries here.
Is it?
I did have the countries.
I'm going to say you need to explain for the people listening, Lee.
Yeah.
And
so for the people listening there on the map, you've got the United States. You've got the United States, the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands, the Federated States of Micronesia, and the Marshall Islands. They're the only countries in the world that use Fahrenheit as a temperature gauge. Everybody else uses centigrade.
So do you know earlier, Gareth, when you text me and said, is there a bit of a structure to tonight's show? I don't think anybody had this Lee Gowland's TED Talk about how to talk weather, but it's the off season. Anything happens.
Should we start talking about driving on the right-hand side of the road now?
No.
Well, as Ty Olsen has said there,
let's not go there, please.
This is hilarious. The US is special. So,
That it is. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And Anthony's chimed in there that the Rams to beat the Eagles, then get battered by the Lions the following
Fully enough,
week.
I agree, Anthony. I
think,
I hate it, but I think the Rams might beat the Eagles.
The only worry is when I was talking to Andy, is the Lions had Matt Stafford for so many years. He left to go get his ring for Stafford to then go back and deny the Lions a Super Bowl appearance. What more of the Lions fandom could, it just...
Can you remember last week we said the worst possible outcome for us would be for the Vikings to go all the way and win the Super Bowl, mainly because everybody's going to be talking about Darnold and Purdy for the whole of the off-season, and we didn't want that whole quarterback controversy. The next worst thing that could happen to us is for the Rams to go all the way and win the Super Bowl and have 2 Super Bowls under Sean McVay in less time than we've had 0 under Shanahan, because everybody's going to be saying, well, why can't Shanahan do that? Sean McVay's managed to do it. They completely ripped apart their roster, restarted. It's taken them 2 seasons in the back there.
That's why I want the Rams to get beat in this game, because as you said, Nadji, you don't let teams hang around in the NFL, and if they progress to the next one, then the next one. I wanted the Vikings to win so much this weekend. I was like, oh no. Because like you said, Lee, the talk is, would you prefer McVay, Shanahan? Obviously, as Niners fans, you don't want to see a divisional rival. When I was joking on saying anyone but the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Rams. Other than that, any of the others could win the Super Bowl. So I don't know where your thoughts are at, chaps.
Nadji, can you remember that Rams fan that walked past me and you in the Bellagio on draft day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
So there's a Rams fan walked past us and he had his ring on and he said, this is what you need. You wouldn't need one of these guys. I pointed out that the 49ers have 5 of them. So wind your neck in. But that's what they're like.
That's what I might say to you when I eventually hand this trophy over to you and you're like that with your ring.
Well, it's going to be a good weekend of football, though. That's, at this point, it's just football fans, and that's what...
Yeah, I am looking forward to the Ravens-Bills game. I think Derrick Henry has had an exceptional season. Obviously, the talk about Lamar being a running back at QB, and this kind of MVP talk, obviously, it's a 49ers show, so we're going to link it to the quarterbacks, but obviously, the ones that are left, that's the kind of level that most people want to see us at quarterback. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes on the AFC. And then, as you said, Lee, you head over to ours. Jared Goff has done a solid job in Detroit, but you've got Stafford with the Rams, and I'm still all in on Purdy at this point. But you chaps different? Are you thinking, oh God, give me a superstar, or do you think, right?
No,
just
I'm
pay Brock
all
what
in
he
on
wants?
Purdy.
He's a superstar. Good.
Yes, Nadji.
He's a superstar. Come on.
Well,
Brock is the man.
I saw something that said there's 4 elite. There's Mahomes, there's Burrow, there's Allen, and there's Lamar Jackson. And it said that's it. That's the upper echelon group of quarterbacks. Only one of them has got any Super Bowl wings. Fair enough, he's greedy. He's got 3. And only one of the others has actually been there and lost it. So for as good as Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are, they haven't been to a Super Bowl yet. And they might not be after this season, because definitely one of them is booking a nice family holiday on Monday morning. Which is tough, but the way it goes. But that's why I think that some of these are the intangibles, where Purdy is he's the anti-Herbert. He doesn't look like the quarterback, but he's done it. He's been there and done it.
He's got very similar stats to Justin Herbert. So Justin Herbert's been in the league twice as long as Brock Purdy.
But
Brock
because
Purdy's
he's big
half the games.
And he's a big high draft pick, he gets given this status, whereas Purdy's always questioned.
I think the difference there is obviously Justin Herbert. He's got quite a strong arm, so he can push the ball down the field a lot further than what Purdy can.
To the opposition.
But for me, I think Purdy can extend players a lot better than what Justin Herbert can, and he's more careful with the ball.
Well, Ty,
he's got better ball security.
you're clearly not in the Discord because Nadji's getting some love here for saying Purdy's a superstar. What we do on the show, we set each other up. Now, we started the show with Nadji. I still love Justin Herbert, but we're ending the show with Nadji Carrar. Brock Purdy is a superstar. But all jokes aside, you've seen the way social media's gone. You're rightly, Sam Darnold getting a ring this offseason would have been even more unbearable.
Yeah.
But like you said, we started the show with saying some of this QB play hasn't been great. And I have seen some people saying Brock's agent's just thinking, right, I want 70 million. After I've watched the games this weekend. And I don't get hung up on the salary cap, Nadji. Do you? Because I've seen a few people now agree, team-friendly deal and the money. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't care. It doesn't impact me. I don't care at all. Just sign the guy to whatever he wants. He's a QB. We'll work it out.
I've got to say, I'm completely the opposite. I want them to get the biggest contract possible, just to wind up as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Who've been bitching and moaning about the salary cap and what he's going to get.
That'll be fine.
So what
the thing is,
I am
we'll
exactly
have to
the same
talk
as
about
that.
it.
I couldn't care less.
So
we'll have to talk about it every day. I just can't be bothered.
I want it done ASAP. Like Rio Ferdinand said, Nadji, give him a contract, write the numbers down, get it done, and then we can all have a quiet off-season.
As I mentioned to Garrett, we don't have to do this. We could just wait the end of the season and then give him his extension.
Well, we can tag him
He's
as well.
Still on the contract, and we could tag him. Yeah.
Though, I mean, the tag must be what 40, 50 million.
I don't know. That's
on
good.
the tag.
It's the average of the top 5, so I would imagine that's probably
It's probably
in
quite
the
high.
52
now.
anyway. So you might be quite
I think
happy
it'd
to
be more than that now.
Yeah, what we've got
it'll be
60,
quite
60
high.
and a couple of
Lawrence got?
55s.
I was going to say,
actually.
Lawrence is on 60, isn't he?
No,
He's-
55, I think. That's on top at 60.
Right.
It's just absurd. And again, Lawrence.
I would imagine that the franchise tag is probably 54, 55.
Mm.
I mean, to be fair, chaps, I am still plugged in on social media, and one of the content creators shared a tweet saying Jed York had apparently said we're going to pony up to pay Brock in the off-season. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch didn't exactly come out and pour any water over fanning the Flames did that. I think Kyle said he wants Brock to be here as long as he is. So I'm just joking, Nadji, because your love for Justin is out there, but we know you love Brock.
J-Dog.
J-Dog, as you rightly call him.
Yeah, boy.
Well, I just call him J, but Eric Orgard, he calls him J-Dog.
Mr. Ince.
Yeah, so, we said last week, Nadji, there's no blank space when it comes to this 49ers off-season. And apparently, there's no rules for After Dark and Discord, because I've seen some very questionable messages this week in daylight hours. However, Paul Scrimshaw has come to the rescue before we disappear down a rabbit hole. He's put that if Purdy takes 20% of the salary cap, he's due 55 million, which is the average pretty much for a franchise QB. And the Rams have shown you how it can be done. The magic numbers, the salary cap.
The one thing that it's not good news perhaps for Purdy, but I don't think there's a head coach in the league who would value him as much as Shanahan does, because I think there's a lot of other head coaches in the league who wouldn't pay him. And I think that's where you get the players like Josh Allen. He is the prototypical what everyone textbook quarterback, because Purdy isn't that. I'm not saying we do this, but he said, well, shop around, see who else is prepared to pay you. And I think it's a lot less people, you see what I mean, with who would actually pay Purdy that money than Shanahan would, because I don't think anyone would value him like he does.
So, breaking news, apparently, fun fact from Ty Alston, Jed phones Lee to get team advice, #JDog. Now, chaps, there's one final rabbit hole that we have to dive into.
Oh, yeah.
So, as I was preparing this lunchtime, Gareth, I thought we're going to have to talk about London, because the Niners could come to London to play the Browns. Now, I have said, I think if they're playing an international game, it'll be Mexico. I was being a bit of a Debbie Downer instead of a positive Paul. And then Jennifer Lee Chan came out of nowhere and was like, there's a good possibility they could be playing in London. So that was me. I totally 360'd. It was happening. And then about 2 hours ago, the NFL, Gareth, announced that the Colts are the designated home team in Germany. And I've seen a lot of people putting two together and coming up with the Colts, Niners in Germany. What do we think, chaps? We've got to have a discussion about this tonight.
Well, the question is, what would you rather, right? What would you rather? Would you rather go to Germany or go to London? I'd much rather go to Germany.
Yeah, I would as well.
Oh yeah, a Berlin game would be
I hate
amazing.
London.
I think we can't avoid it. Jed might, Shani might want to go to Mexico, but
He
they
get
haven't
no
been.
choice. He
They
doesn't get a
haven't.
choice
Yeah,
with the road team.
they haven't been to London for 12 years. Is it now 13 years? They can't avoid it
12
forever.
years.
And since they didn't make the playoffs,
You can't say no. Yeah.
My worry about Germany is when the Seahawks played the Buccaneers. I have a group of friends who like to go down to the London games, and one lad's a Seahawks fan, and they couldn't get tickets for love nor money. In fact, it was cheaper for them to fly out to the States and do 2 games by the time they'd priced it up. And I have a feeling London might be the same to get tickets.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, all jokes aside, I know Niners fans in the States don't want the team to come across. And obviously, we travelled quite a lot last year. And I've seen people say that if they are forced to come over to Europe, they want us to play an East Coast game first, then across, so it's not the travel all in one go.
And then buy or something, so you can. Yeah.
The only thing I get frustrated with the NFL is they've leaked this news now, and then they go, "Oh, we're not going to tell you till April, May, if you're lucky." And the NFL UK site are going to drop a horrendous tweet like the Debo tweet with big news coming and say nothing else. So it's a little bit difficult. Yeah.
Well, it's him not playing very well apparently.
Well, I think the big news is they're having an official watch party for the Super Bowl in Ireland, but they haven't said what the official side means. I was a little bit confused by that tweet yesterday. It's good for the Irish fans that the NFL are putting something on for the Super Bowl, but it just seemed a little bit like, well, what do you mean it's an official team? Or like, what's happening? But that might be the big news. But to answer your question, Angie, I'd love to go to Germany. I'd love them to come to London. But like Gareth said, I think it's Mexico. Honestly, I do. I don't know why, Lee. I've said this to you off air.
Like I said, you can't avoid it. Can't avoid London. You can't just get out of London by saying, well, we played in Mexico.
I didn't think there was a Mexico game in 2025 because they're redoing the Azteca ready for the World Cup in 2026.
They might be playing somewhere else. So.
I think there's other stadiums in Mexico, probably.
I'm sure
nowhere near as good as the Azteca.
No, maybe not, but...
So Anthony's put a message on there saying if it is London, he believes that the Niners fans would have to pay for hospitality to guarantee a ticket, which is about £500 each.
No, so they start off about $250. The hospitality tickets.
Still a lot of money.
It is, yeah.
If the Niners come to London, I'm going to have to take an annual leave. I'm going to have to go crash at Eric Oregards for the week because we're going to have to get media passes, chaps. If they come across, we're going to have to go down. We're going to have to try and chance our arm. I see like Andy Davies across the pod. He does 100%. Stuff. I see like Gary Thorpe had tickets for Let's Talk Sports to go down. You know, he asked Aaron Rodgers a couple of questions. But if they come to London, the possibility is there. Lee. We've talked before, haven't we? Airbnb, hire somewhere for a week, go down. Yeah. Go watch the training. Ask Shanahan a question.
Jed will let you know on your little back chat, won't he? Lee?
On our weekly FaceTime, yeah.
Yeah. J-Dog to you, obviously.
J-Dog.
Well, I was going to ask you, would you rather, because we haven't done it for a while. So say the Niners come to London, we get the media passes, you get to ask one question. Would you rather ask a player or a member of the coaching staff? And I'm going to go to you first, Gareth Ellis, because I like to put you on the spot.
Yeah. I suppose it would depend on the player. I hadn't even thought.
You get to pick.
The question. Oh, I get to get Table Pepper, obviously. Try and find out the intricacies of how do you get into long snapping.
I like it. Late.
So I thought Gareth was going to go down to. So what was the real conversation with Debo?
Yeah.
Well, there is that one.
That's for off camera though.
So Lee, what about you, buddy?
So it would have to be a player because I wouldn't trust a coach to give us a straight answer. And as far as which player, I don't know who that would be. I think it would have to be George Kittle.
Yeah,
question about
100%.
How does it feel to be the 49er Faithful UK MVP for this season?
Exactly. Spoiler alert.
I was about to say, cheers, Lee. Nadji spent all last week drilling into me not to say anything about Discord MVPs. But
oops.
Yeah. What about you, Nadji? Would you rather ask a player?
I mean, I would if I could get a straight answer, it would be Shani for sure. But knowing that you're totally right, you just wouldn't get anywhere near what you want to hear. So it'd have to be Josh Kittle or Fred Warner, maybe. I don't know.
See, imagine what we could do, right? So in the week running up to that, all three of you have said what you would do. What we could do is run a poll on the group, and the winner gets
I dread
us
to think.
to ask their question, and Brett Sinclair would be automatically banned from entering that because there's no way. Hi, Kyle. Brett Sinclair would like to ask, and then we just have our passes revoked. But I just was having a bit of fun because if the Niners come to London, that is something that we would have to consider, because I know we've spent a lot of years building up the YouTube channel, the podcast, and seeing other people do it, Lee. And it's something I'd want to do.
All the other content creators, I think that would be part of it. Obviously, I'd love to see the Niners in London, but getting the other content creators over, the people who tune into the live at lunchtime over in the West Coast, getting everybody over to London would be good, I think, to show a bit of hospitality. A lot of them have been good to the UK faithful at various times, so it would be nice to repay that, wouldn't it?
So we've got a winner.
Yeah, because there's one thing the London game doesn't do well is, like the fan experience. There's no really
they
always
used to do
home
really
team.
well.
It's like everybody's spread out.
Yeah, but the
prawn sandwiches now,
It did, but not anymore.
Yeah, I know, but maybe they need the 49er faithful
could
UK
organise
because to jump in there, Nancy, Chapman has already said, if they're coming across, he's doing a rush road trip, which is normally the day before, I believe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
because if they go to Germany, Lee's found the flaw in the 49ers plan, because they can't use what they would normally use when we go to Germany, can they, Lee? You mentioned that in the Discord.
It's been
49ers invasion.
Yes.
It's been 80 years. You can call it invasion, it's fine.
A European invasion of Germany. No, I don't think that would go down.
You'd be leading the charge, Nadji, because you're at the front, So, but all jokes aside, I did chuckle when I saw that.
If you recall, he's French. He'd be waving a white flag.
The other way.
Lee Gowland. And on that note,
this is what I have to put up with, Paul. You're getting a taste of it.
This is why he does History Corner.
Could you imagine History Corner if we go to Germany?
I'll tell you what, I'd love it. I'd love to go to Germany. And with any luck, it'll be in October at the same time as Oktoberfest. Right? Well, Oktoberfest is actually the middle of September to the start of October.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, Nadji. I think if the Niners do come across, I think, like you said, everybody would be making a weekend of it, and it would kind of help us.
If we could organise and buy tickets in the same area, wherever that is, and all be together and watch the game together, it would be incredible. Yeah. I think it would genuinely made a difference as well.
Yeah, that'll definitely be difficult, because obviously I'm trying to sort that out after Vegas. I mean, I think you stood there when Nick turned around and said, "Oh yeah, I've got you sorted on that," and we assumed, great, we're going to get group tickets. And then I think it was about 6 months later when I texted Nick just before the announcement of the games, right, how do we get these group tickets? I just want to get everything sorted before the games are announced. And the response came back, I don't know what you're talking about. You're just going to have to do what everybody else does. Get in line, general sale.
Yeah.
That's definitely not what you said in Vegas.
Well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No better than that. But no, I think if the London experience was then, like you said, make a weekend of it, we could mix up what we used to do when it was just the 49er Faithful UK meetups, and then add in that kind of, I mean, I'm getting carried away. There's still a possibility it's London, Gareth. Well, that's why I've tried to downplay it. I said reverse psychology. It's not happening. That's what I'm going to say.
Because it will happen eventually. It's bound to. If it's not this year, it may be the next or the next or the next or the next.
Well, it has to happen in the next 2 years.
It has to happen soon. So it's good to get excited about it. Because it's not just like we've been, all four of us have been lucky to go across and watch a game, in Levi's or Candlestick or wherever. And it's loads of people always travel every year to go and watch a game wherever the Niners play. But imagine, like you, Paul, it was a one-time thing. There's a lot of people that can't go to America and watch a game, though. Either can't afford it or just don't have the time or the resource to do it. If they come to London, it's so much easier. Although it is very expensive, but it's a lot easier to manage a weekend.
It is.
Even one day down in London, you go back up, you can go to work, all that stuff. It's not, 13-hour flights and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, of course, we get excited if they come over. It'll be amazing.
You know, I think if they do come over and John goes ahead and does a 49 rush road trip, I think it'll be that well attended. We'd have to look at somewhere like the Box Wembley, which holds 2,000 people. Because I think it'd be huge. I think it'd be a cracking turnout for that Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too.
It's something
Not
to keep
missing
in
that
mind.
one.
Yeah, as we
missing
said,
that one.
we might be in the off season, Nadji, but obviously it doesn't stop. But any final thoughts, chaps? Because we are approaching the hour.
The past few years have been the Niners football has been amazing. We've been in the playoff. We've had a shot at winning a Super Bowl. But this is nice. I'm enjoying this stress-free. Just watch football. There's the final college football in 5 days. I'm enjoying the playoffs in college. It's been pretty great, kind of. And then, it's been nice to just relax, not stress, not think about football all the time and what we're going to do and who we're going to play and all that, and just enjoy football. And we can talk silliness, like we can start getting excited for next season and get the hopes up and talk draft and all that kind of stuff. It's different. It's a different fun experience, and I've been enjoying it. I think it's quite nice.
Yeah,
so,
that's the second thing you've said in this show where I completely agree. And I didn't want to say it either, but yeah, I found it so relaxing watching the playoffs this time. It's strange to say that because you always want to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, of
We've
course.
got the type of roster that can win the Super Bowl, go all the way. But it did feel like a little bit of a relief to have like a break from being in the playoffs. And like I said, that sounds ridiculous because I'd rather we be there every year. But I felt a lot more relaxed this past 7-8 days.
Yeah, we've been through the ringer, haven't we? We talked about the players and yeah, to be honest, there's a certain relief about not having to prep 2 shows a week.
Yeah, and I think it's the excitement.
And read everything and kind of worry about is a player going to be fit and all of the news that goes on. And I think it's been good. It's a little bit of a reset and a chance to get ahead of things. So we're doing those coaching interviews. You know that the coaches, they've all got time to watch the college playoffs with Nagy, and they're not prepping game plans for playoff games. We've got a chance to, get ahead of the competition, which we haven't had for 3-4 years.
As Ty Alston said there, stress-free playoffs. We needed the break as much as the players do. And I'm smiling, Lee, because I'd had these conversations with Tracy. I was like, I want us to get to the playoffs, but in a way, it might be nice to have some time off. Because as you said, Gareth, we have to prep the shows, social media. But one thing I wanted to say, my final thoughts, Jordan Elliott, big friend of the show, he put some tweets out about the Niners-Saints game a few years ago about it being the best game he's ever watched. The one with Alex Smith and Candlestick and end-to-end.
Oh, yeah.
And then he also put that he was at the NFC Championship game against the Giants the following week. And he said when he thinks about these games, he was who he was with, how he was feeling, and the last thing he was concerned about was if they ultimately won the Super Bowl. And sometimes, he says, you have to enjoy the ride for what it is. And when I think back to last year, and I think to the shows, I think to the gold mine, and I think this run that we've had, but then the way it ended, I think Nadji and Gareth, you took some time off. Lee helped a little bit with the shows. I stupidly ploughed on. Where now, if you think about it, we were all disappointed to be out of the playoffs. But the group, the engagement's still there. People are talking. People buying merchandise. We're talking. We spent an hour
we're
tonight.
Still in a good place. If you look around the league, league of the dumpster fires, then there's people who don't know who the coach is going to be, don't know who their quarterback is going to be. All we're worrying about is how much and what are we going to do with this first round pick we haven't had for a while. So,
So Lee, it's announced Liverpool as the destination for your Super Bowl watch party. Do you have any further updates at this point, or do people still need to stay tuned to our social media? Or
you got the venue,
stay
right?
tuned. Yeah, so the venue's then the Pin Social Club in Liverpool, smack bang in the centre of Liverpool. I finally got a reply to them that said, look, they've booked us at least 40 places. At the moment, I think there's 32 confirmed. That includes the people who are off Facebook. But outside of those 32 that are confirmed, we still have another 53 who said they might come. So it might be considerably bigger than that. But in my experience, if somebody says maybe 2-3 weeks before the event, it's really, no, I'm not coming. So I'm not expecting more than 40. But 40, I mean, 40 for a non-Niners event is still a good turnout. Pin Social are going to email me with some packages in case we want to buy a package. That would obviously be drinking food. They've got all sorts of different type of pub games there. They've got darts. They've got shuffleboard. Is it shuffleboard?
Yeah, shuffleboard.
Yeah, shuffleboard. There's a 10-bin bowling alley in there. That's why it's called Pin Social. And they've got some other stuff as well. So I think there's going to be plenty of stuff to do while we're there. And it's going to be really good to see everyone there because we're all going to be relaxed. With any luck, it's going to be something like a Bills-Lions Super Bowl because we're going to enjoy the game because we don't mind who wins because it'll be a first-time winner. The worst possible outcome would be a Chiefs-Rams Super Bowl. Well, Chiefs-Rams. Can you imagine that?
Chiefs-Rams. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be boring.
I'd be praying for me train to be cancelled on the way down there.
Careful what you wish for, especially living in this country.
But yeah, really looking forward to it. I mean, I've got all my travel sorted, got the hotel sorted. So yeah, just really looking forward to it.
So there is an event page on Facebook. So as Leah said there, if you could tag if you go in, just so you can keep the numbers up there. As we said last week, chaps, we are continuing. We're in full off-season mode. Mock drafts. I haven't done any yet. Lee, how many have you done this week?
I've got the best one. I've got the best one.
This week has been actually quite a light week. I've maybe done 20. Maybe a few
That's not
more.
bad.
But
That's not bad.
I keep on getting addicted to trading. And every now and again, I try and force myself just to use the picks that we've got. But every time we get to that number 11 pick, somebody's offering ridiculous picks.
It's weird.
Take it.
I'm with Nadji. I know where Nadji's going, so go on, Nadji.
Share my screen. I've done the only draft that needs to be done. There we go. Simple, easy.
So it's interesting. Originally on PFF, you could still pick up Cam Scatterbo at 130.
Yeah, 130, 135.
130, 133. He's now going late 40s, mid 50s.
Yeah, it's because Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton are staying in Penn State, so that's two very good running backs that are not entering the draft. So like the whole board is kind of shifted up a bit.
So I know there's a couple of guards who said that they're not coming out, that they're going to stay in school for another year.
The NIL is really changing the landscape of draft. Like, Katron Allen would probably be a second rounder easily, maybe a first if he does a good combine. And you're just like, no, just go back to Penn State, get 2-3 million, in advertisement and whatever, and we got a shot at another championships next year. They were very close to get there, so I quite like it. I quite like it.
It'll be interesting to see who does perform at the combine, because like you said, obviously that's going to affect where people are placed in the draft, and then that's going to look a lot different to what mock drafts look like at the moment. Yeah,
combine, pro days, all that, changes the landscape of everything. Especially interviews, when team actually sit down and talk to players and see what they like and where their heads are. Because we tend to forget, but all these people entering the draft, they're kids. They're barely 20 years old, and they just finished college or whatever. So until they get a good sense for what kind of people they are and what kind of adult they're going to become, the board shifts a lot around that time. The Senior Bowl changes a lot of things and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good draft. There's a lot of good quality players. No QBs, but good.
Well, I like how
I was just about to say QB. There's two QBs that I kind of fancy in the draft: Curtis Rourke and Jackson Dart.
Yeah, Dart's had a bit of a up and down Ole Miss.
There's no pun intended there, Nadji. He's had a bit of an up and down.
No pun intended. Well, it's not always a triple 20. That's for sure.
I do like.
I like him though. I like him.
How you've waited till final thought to then dive fully in the draft talk. However, people, we will be doing more in-depth shows about the draft. And Nadji, I think we're going to do a live mock draft at some point in the pod or on the live show. We will be ramping up the off-season programme. So at the moment, I think we're trying to stick to one show because at the moment we don't think there's enough to spread across. So like that was where the confusion arose this week.
Yeah.
We said we weren't doing Wednesday, then Sunderland were playing on Friday, and Premier League this game, and Nadji's working tomorrow. So we just like to keep you on your toes. So for those people who were listening to the social media notifications, well done. But we will be back next week. I don't know whether it'll be a pod, whether it'll be a live. Who knows, chaps? But do drop us a like. Do drop us a subscribe. This has been a blast. All that is left for me to say is stay safe and go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, Nana gang.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in our heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time.